Good evening to the 12th grade students, parents, and high school counselors. Thank you once again for joining us for the Knowledge at KPT Admissions 101 workshop series session today. Today we have a very special guest out here who's a very dear friend of ours, Miss Michaeli Jonas from the University of the Incarnate Word, and she will be presenting, as you have seen in the online schedule, about the public versus the private, about public versus private universities, and of course the university experience as well. And Ms. Michaeli Jonas will, of course, as I mentioned, will be sharing information about her institution as well, which we all, I'm sure, are very excited to hear about. So thank you so much for joining us. Students, parents, we kindly request you to please post all your questions in the Q&A box and not in the chat box, so that it would just be easier for Ms. Michaeli to see all your questions and then answer them one by one as they come through. And then towards the end of the section, she will be having the Q&A. So once she presents and completes her presentations, she will then be taking all your esteemed questions. Miss Michaeli Jonas, it's an immense pleasure, Michaeli, to have you on the show today. Thank you so much for joining our program. We know it's very early in the morning, and thank you so much. We know the semester is also approaching very soon, so we truly appreciate your valuable time. I'll now hand over the stage and the microphone to you. And thank you once again, Michaeli, for everything and for all your kind time and support.
Great. Thank you, Kunal, so much. So good evening, everyone. Thank you for your time and for joining us today. And good morning from Texas. So today I will be talking about public versus private institutions and the university experience. So my name is Michaeli, and I am the International Student Recruiter at the University of the Incarnate Word, and we are located in San Antonio, Texas. So I've been with UIW for about 4 years now. I'm responsible for all of our international travel, our digital media, and our social media marketing. I was in India last September with Kunal Park Tours, and hopefully we'll be able to return in the future because I really enjoyed it. So just going over the agenda for today. First, I'd like to talk about why community is important on campus, public and private institutions, what does this mean? Then I'll go into a little bit about university life and different aspects and ways to get involved. And then especially the importance of an international office and the support services that they provide to students. Then I'll go into University of the Incarnate Word, talk a little bit about the institution, and then we will move to the Q&A session. So first I want you to ask yourself this question: what kind of university community will I succeed in? That's a very important question to ask yourself because all universities are very different and they can offer different things to you. So you're really going to want to choose a university where you think that you'll be successful or you'll be able to learn and get the most out of your education. So public versus private universities. I'm going to tell you some general trends for both public and private institutions. I know you've probably heard both of these terms before, but might be a little bit confusing as to what they mean. So the main difference in public and private universities is just the way that they are funded. So with public institutions, they're supported by public funds and taxes from the state. So they rely on money from the state government. And that's why in-state residents get a tuition discount because they're already paying taxes towards the state, which in turn is giving money to the university to support it. There are about 1,600 public institutions in the United States. They typically have a very large student population. So you may hear the term public research university. Public research university also typically means a very large student population. So it's very common to have, maybe 100 people in some of your freshman classes. They do offer a wide variety of programs. They may have 100, 200 different majors to choose from. They also have a lot of demographic diversity, meaning you're going to get a bunch of students from different economic backgrounds. So the type of student that would really succeed at a public institution is one with an independent learning style. So for example, if you have a bunch of people in your class, you're going to have less direct access to the faculty. You may even have a graduate assistant or a teaching assistant be the one to lead the class. So it would behoove students to have a more independent learning style for public institutions. There are also fewer students living on campus because there's going to be a lot of students that come from that state, and therefore they might live at home and commute. So that's not really a big deal, but that's one thing that you can kind of think about if you're wanting to live on campus. So those are a lot of the general trends for public universities or public research universities. So it's really important that you do your research because, like I said, all universities are different, but typically when you hear a public institution, this is kind of what you can think of. Okay, private institutions. As I mentioned, the main difference between public and private universities is just the way they are funded. So public institutions receive some money from the state government, whereas private institutions do not. So private institutions are going to rely on tuition revenue as well as private donations. So that's why they have typically a higher tuition rate, because they're not receiving that subsidized rate from the state government. They're just relying on tuition revenue. That's why it's a little higher. But it is going to be the same rate for everyone. So you're not going to have the in-state, out-of-state tuition or in-state discount. It's just the same tuition for everybody. So just because they're more expensive doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to pay a lot more. It really depends on the institution. Typically, private institutions do have more scholarship and grant opportunities than public schools. And this is because they do receive a lot of private donations and they're able to support more scholarships for students. So it is entirely possible to be able to attend a private institution for the same cost, maybe even less than a public school. So this you really just need to do your research on. There are also about 1,600 private institutions in the US, so it's a fairly even spread between public and private. Typically, they have a smaller student population than public universities, so you get better access to the professors, and you'll probably have close proximity to the professors in your classes. It's less likely that you'll be taught by a graduate assistant or a teaching assistant. So if that's important to you, if you want to, be able to build strong relationships with your faculty, private university may be the way to go. You do have a lot of geographic diversity amongst the student population at private institutions. You get students coming from all over the world, which is also true of public institutions, but it's very noticeable at private universities. They'll typically have a pretty high percentage of international students. Also, more students are going to live on campus. Since you have students coming from all over the world, they're going to be more reliant on living on campus. So if it's important to you to have that strong campus community, that could be a key indicator of that. Last point about private institutions is that they can be religiously affiliated or single gender. It does not mean that all private universities are, but you'll never find a public institution that's either religiously affiliated or single gender. Okay, so I gave you some general trends for public versus private institutions. So I'd like to compare two different institutions of similar size, just so you can kind of get an idea of public versus private. But as I mentioned, all universities are different, so it is important that you do your research. So the first university here on the left we'll take is University of Wisconsin at Green Bay. It is a public institution. It is a little smaller, so it only has about 7,000 students, and that's because it's not the main campus. It's not the main University of Wisconsin campus. It's another side campus, so that's why it's a little bit smaller. But it is a public institution, and they have 126 international students out of the 7,000. And there are 31 different countries represented on their campus. Their student to teacher ratio is 23:1. They offer 50 academic programs, which is fairly low for a public institution. Again, this is just because it's not their main campus. Their tuition's $15,730 per year, and they offer $3,000 to $5,000 in scholarships. Their TOEFL requirement is a 71. So that's University of Wisconsin at Green Bay. It's a public school. And now let's compare that to University of the Incarnate Word, which is the institution I work for. It is a private university. So UIW has about 8,600 students, and 550 of them are international students. So again, you get a lot of geographic diversity with private institutions. So the percentage of international students is higher. There's also a greater range of countries represented. You'll see 80 different countries represented on campus. The student-teacher ratio is also a lot lower. It's 11:1. So basically just what this means is for every 11 students, there's one professor. So that gives you kind of an idea of the proximity you have to the professors. UIW offers 90 academic programs, and the tuition is about $29,000 to $30,000 per year. So again, private institution, that's why the tuition's a lot higher, but we do offer a higher amount of scholarships as well. So for example, at Green Bay, they only offer $3,000 to $5,000 versus UIW offers $5,000 to $20,000. So it is totally possible to get your tuition lower than the public institution based on just the scholarship. The TOEFL requirement is a 79, which is fairly typical of private institutions. They require a little bit higher of an English proficiency rating than public. So this kind of just goes to show that those are general trends of public versus private schools, but there are, some differences depending on the university. So it is important you do your research, but these are some general trends that can kind of tell you what the difference in public and private institutions are. And remember, whenever you hear those terms, the main difference is just the way that they are funded. Okay, so let's move on to student organizations. So student organizations are a great way to get involved on campus. They have many different benefits. So you're going to be able to meet new friends and try new things. You're also going to really be able to build your resume. So student organizations are definitely something that you can include on your resume when you're going to look for a job. If you don't have a whole lot of professional experience, meaning you don't have a lot of working experience, which is typical of students that are, just coming out of college or looking for a job while in college, you can put your involvement in student organizations on your resume. It also is a great way to develop your skills depending on what kind of organization it is. And it's a really good way to share your culture with other students who, may not know a whole lot about India. You can really share your culture with them and also, learn more about American culture as well. So there's lots of different types of student organizations. I've kind of classified them here into 4 different groups. You have academic organizations. So for an example, it would be an honors program or something that kind of relates to your major, like a biology club, a marketing association, campus radio, entrepreneurs society. So something that is related to your major or your field of interest, where you can meet other students who share that same interest and kind of further your knowledge of that subject. There are also professional organizations. An example of this would be an honors society. So an honors society is an organization for high achieving students who have reached a certain GPA level and have been invited to the organization. So they have honor societies just for general academic achievement. They also have them for specific majors like psychology and business. So this is a really good way to expand your professional network. There are also athletic organizations. So if you don't play a sport for the university at a competitive level. There's also intramural and club sports, which are recreational and semi-competitive. So if you like a sport, you're interested in it, and you want to kind of keep playing it to keep in shape, to keep your knowledge of the sport, that's a good way to get involved as well. There are also social organizations. So if you're wanting to meet different types of people, if you're wanting to make new friends, if you're wanting to get involved on campus. So some examples of these would be student government. So if you'd like to, talk to other students and talk to the different boards at your institution and kind of speak out about different student issues, what the students are wanting, student government is a good way to do that. They also have organizations like International Student Club or Multi-Faith Club organizations. They have Asian Culture Club, different things like that. So those would be examples of social organizations. So those are the different types of organizations on campus. As I mentioned, they have many different benefits. So just kind of think about what you want to get involved in. What's important to you? Do you want to meet other students who are interested in your major? Do you want to join a professional organization? Do you want to do like a recreational sport? You don't need to necessarily decide this before you go to college, but I mean, if you want to kind of be thinking of this and kind of see what your prospective university offers, that's kind of a good thing to do. So next I'd like to talk about residence life. So residence life on campus is sometimes required, sometimes it's not. It depends on the university. And then what I'd like to mention is what they call a resident assistant. So this is very common at US universities. Sometimes it's called something different depending on the university, but they all have the basic same idea. So a resident assistant is a student trained to supervise younger students living at the same residence hall. So resident assistants are at least going to be a second year, sometimes third year, fourth year. So they've been on campus for a while and they know their way around. And they've also been trained to handle minor student issues. They also make sure that all the proper rules are going to be followed in on-campus residence halls. And they can assist students with minor issues like homesickness, if they're lost, if they need to find something, different student resources available on campus. And they're just a great resource to new students and younger students, kind of help show them around and help them adapt to life on campus. So as I mentioned, living on campus is sometimes required. This varies by institution. For example, at UIW, we do not require students to live on campus. It is fairly common though for universities to require it at least the first year. So that just depends on the school. There are typically a variety of living options to choose from. Sometimes you'll have a roommate or maybe even two roommates, and sometimes you can get your own room. So that also depends on the institution. Most students will have roommates or at least suite mates, especially for their first year. Housing assignments are usually on a first come, first served basis. So this is important to note just after you choose your university. It's important to apply to housing as soon as you decide on the school that you're attending. That way you have a better chance of getting your options for where you'd like to stay. And it is a great option for your first year, whether or not it's required. That way you can be on campus for all of the different events that they have. And that way you can be really close to your classes. You don't have to worry about commuting or taking a bus. It's just very conveniently located. It's near the dining halls. And also just like while you're getting used to campus life and being at university in general, it's a good option. It's also great for meeting new friends because you're going to have a bunch of people that may or may not be in your classes but are in your residence hall. Okay, career services. Another important question to ask is, does your university have a career center? And what kind of services does it offer? So this is something important to look at when you're looking at prospective universities, because you want to know that they are going to have support services available for you to be able to find jobs, whether in college or after you graduate. So you don't necessarily need to know exactly what all they offer, but just make sure that they do offer a career center and maybe look at kind of what some of the services they provide are. That will be a good indicator of how used to working with students the university is, and how much resources they have dedicated to helping the students find positions. So some examples of career services would be skill building workshops. So for example, they might have a workshop on how to write a cover letter or how to format your resume, how to dress professionally, how to attend a business dinner, business etiquette. So these are, typically free options for students to be able to kind of learn professional skills. They also have career advising. So if you're not quite sure what type of career you'd like to go into, this can be kind of like a personality assessment and kind of assess your skills and what you'd potentially be good at or be interested in. They also typically offer internship search assistance. So they're going to have a lot of resources in the city and know a lot of companies around the area that may be hiring. So they're a good resource to kind of know and find out who's hiring and who's looking to hire students in particular. They'll also offer job fairs. Sometimes these are on campus, sometimes they're off campus, but they'll have employers ready to meet students. They also provide a resume review, which is important because there are some key differences in US resumes than resumes in India. So if you're ever confused on the formatting or what you need to include, what you don't need to include in your resume, career services is a good option. So one key thing I want you to ask yourself is, does your prospective university have an international office? Do look at the institutions you're considering and see which ones have an international office. Why? Because this is a key indicator that the university is used to working with international students and will provide specific resources and advice dedicated to international students that are going through the process of moving to the United States for the first time. So the international office is going to be familiar with that process and can assist you with that transition. They should be in contact with you during the admissions process. If they are not, be sure to get in contact with them as soon as possible. Your admissions counselor can help you identify someone in the international office to connect with, or how to do that. So be sure that you do connect with the international office. Another reason why it's important is they're going to be the ones that are issuing your immigration documents, and they're going to be able to answer all of your immigration questions. But they can also connect you with other international students. So if you're interested in meeting other students from India once you get to campus, or just students who know the process and are familiar with moving away for the first time, they're a good resource to do that. They're going to be able to connect you with students from all over the world. Okay, benefits. So as I mentioned, they do have immigration advising, so they're going to be able to tell you how to stay in status, how to keep up with your immigration status, what you can and can't do while you're under a student visa. They also typically offer an international orientation, which is a great way to be introduced to campus resources and the new community. Many schools with an international office also have some sort of ambassador program or peer mentor program, maybe called something different, peer mentors, a buddy program, a student ambassador program. All of them are the same idea. They are going to be programs where older students are paired with new students and can kind of help show them around, get them used to campus and answer any questions that they have, just so they automatically have a friend at the campus when they start. The international office also sometimes provides cultural excursions, and they're going to be the ones that prepare the multicultural events on campus. So again, the key benefit is student support. They're going to be able to help you with all of the different issues that, may arise because you're coming to the US for the first time, and that maybe domestic students don't have to think about, like setting up a bank account, getting a cell phone plan. These are different things that the international office can support you with. So one key thing that I'd really like to enforce is to ask questions. Don't be afraid to ask questions. You can ask your admissions officer, whoever's in contact with you about the application, feel free to ask them questions. That's what we're here for. You can also contact the International Student Office. Again, they should be in contact with you. If they're not, be sure to get their contact information and reach out. Do ask them, when is international orientation? Make sure you attend that. I can't enforce that enough. It's a great resource. I know you might hear orientation and think, oh, I don't want to do that. But most schools really do work really hard with their orientation to provide, good services, but also it's a great way to meet people who are also moving to the US for the first time. So really be sure you attend your international orientation. They might also have fun events like student mixers and city tours. So it's a good way to get involved. Also, be sure to ask, how can I connect with current students? So a good way to do that is some schools have Facebook groups. You can also get them on Instagram. Some of them will create WhatsApp groups. Also LinkedIn, if you want to see what students are doing at that university or graduates, what kind of companies are they working for now? LinkedIn is a good resource too. You can see where students from that university have gone on to work. So in summary, I want you to ask yourself, what kind of university will I succeed in? Do you prefer smaller or larger class sizes? This is important because everybody learns differently, and you want to make sure that you are at a university that you can focus on your education and be able to get the most out of your classes. Also, maybe ask yourself, how do I want to get involved on campus? Is it important that they have a large student life culture? Do I want to get involved in a lot of student organizations? You don't necessarily have to pick those before you go to university, but, maybe just kind of look at your prospective universities and see what their campus culture is like. Also ask, how will university help prepare me for my career? Do they offer career services? Are they going to be able to help me find internships, find jobs? Do they have a culture of helping and supporting their students in the workforce? Also, be sure to ask, is there an international office on campus? Again, this is really important because schools with an international office are familiar with working with international students and the process of transitioning to the United States for the first time. So next, I'd like to talk about the University of the Incarnate Word, our application process, and the different things that we offer if you are interested in applying. So we are located in San Antonio, Texas. We were founded in 1881, so we've been around a while. We are a private university with about 8,600 students, and we offer 90 different academic programs in a variety of fields. Our student to teacher ratio is 11:1. So again, this means there are about 11 students per professor. So it is a very close campus community feel. We do have a small average class size of only about 25 students. And for some of your third and fourth year classes, this will be even smaller. So it's a very hands-on approach to education. We do have students from 80 countries, so it is very diverse. And we are NCAA Division I for athletics. And here where the star is on the map, you can kind of see we're in the far south. So San Antonio is a great city. It is the 7th largest city in the US. So students kind of have the best of both worlds. They've got that strong campus community feel on campus, but then they have all of the resources of a big city. We're very conveniently located. We're about 5 to 10 minutes from downtown, and we're really close to all of the famous sites of San Antonio, like the Riverwalk and the Alamo. So it's a great location. You're really close to everything. And we have a fun fact here. San Antonio is home to the only UNESCO World Heritage Site in Texas. So there's a lot of history here in San Antonio. San Antonio is second to Wall Street in providing prestigious financial jobs. So we are a big business and finance hub. We're also a tech hub as well. We're a top 10 city for tech jobs. So computer science is big here in San Antonio. Other big industries are healthcare and manufacturing. We have received special designation from Travel and Leisure as well as National Geographic for being a top place to travel. And then here we've gotten recognition from the World's Best Cities report to be a top 100 city in the world. So these are the different schools and colleges we have within the university. As I mentioned, we do have a wide range of different programs. So first I'll start off talking about our undergraduate programs. I know there's a lot on here, so I won't make you read all of them, but we do have a lot of different programs. Our most popular program for undergraduate students, specifically international students, would be our business programs, because we have a lot of different concentrations within business. So for example, international business, marketing, management, general business, finance, economics. So there's lots of different ways to really customize the business program to really fit their needs. Our second most popular program would be computer information systems. Within that, we do have different concentrations as well, like networking, programming, emerging technologies, and web development. We also have cybersecurity, and then some of our other key programs would be like biology, pre-med, pre-health. We also have engineering, 3D animation and game design is a big one. Also communications, government, music, psychology. We have a lot of different programs to pick from. So these are our graduate programs. So for our master's degrees, we offer degrees in education, kinesiology, communications arts, nutrition. We offer an MS accounting degree and then an MBA. With our MBA, we have several different concentrations of finance, general business, marketing, and sports management. And then we offer a doctoral degree or a PhD in education. We also have professional programs in optometry, pharmacy, and physical therapy. So what makes UIW different than other schools? Definitely our small class sizes and our hands-on approach to education. You know, you're going to have close access to your professors. You're going to know them. They're going to know you by name. They're going to be able to help you with the subject, but they're also going to be able to write you recommendation letters because they know you so well. So that's a very, very, very good resource to have. We also really focus on the career and professional development aspect. So we offer a lot of job fairs. You know, we're going to bring employers to campus and offer different networking events so students can start meeting with employers and potentially start, you know, building those relationships early on so that they can be prepared to go into the job market. We also provide services like resume review, mock interviews. We have different internship opportunities and internship search assistance. And also just in general, we provide a lot of really good ways to get experience in your field. You know, we want you to be prepared and be able to have a lot to put on your resume so that you're a more competitive candidate when you go to apply for jobs. So some examples of this would be our business plan competition and our new venture startup challenge, which is a great opportunity for our business students who are looking to start their own business. They can potentially start earning money towards their business while they're still studying. We also have a student managed fund for students to practice investing with actual money. Another example would be our fashion show. So every year our students do a fashion show and they're responsible for all aspects of it, from the design to the production to the advertising. They do all of it. Also, we have a campus TV station, radio station, and newspaper that are entirely student run. Okay, university experience. So we do have 100 different student organizations on our campus, many different ways to get involved. We offer 150 multicultural events each year, including Holi, Diwali, and the International Food Festival. We do have a student ambassadors program. So as I mentioned earlier, this is a program where you'll be paired with an older student who's been at the campus for at least a year and can help show you around, help you get your student ID, help you move into your dorm rooms. And that way you have a friend automatically when you arrive. We do typically offer free airport pickup and an international orientation. Unfortunately for this fall, because of COVID, we have moved to a digital or virtual format, but we hope to be able to offer this in person again soon. We do have a variety of cultural excursions throughout the year that are free for our students. So in orientation, we provide a free city tour. So you're already getting to see the city and get involved in the community before your classes start. But throughout the year, we do have trips to like a hiking trip. We go to professional sports games. We take a trip to Austin to see the Texas Capitol, just so you're getting to see more of the city and the state. We do offer club and intramural sports in addition to team sports, and we have 10 different on-campus residence halls, but it is not required to live on campus, so that is totally up to you. So benefits of applying to UIW, you can apply within 15 minutes on our website or the Common App. So we try to make it as easy as possible. There's no application fee, and we do offer rolling admission. So we don't have deadlines. You can apply at any time. You'll also receive your acceptance letter and your scholarship offer within about a week for undergraduate students. For graduate students, it's typically 2 to 3 weeks. We do offer guided admissions support. So from the very beginning, if you ever have any questions, you can reach out to us. We're very active on WhatsApp and social media, and just over the phone as well. If you have any questions, we're more than happy to assist you with the process. So for undergraduate students, we do require the high school transcripts. So we'll need copies of those. We will accept copies for admission purposes. The SAT or ACT is optional. You do not have to submit these scores. And really the main thing you need is just the transcripts and proof of English proficiency. So we'll accept proof of English proficiency in a variety of ways. We'll accept TOEFL, IELTS, Cambridge. If you are getting a US or IB diploma from your high school, you do not need to show proof of English proficiency. We will just look at your high school transcript. We also accept PTE, and we're now accepting Duolingo as well. I know a lot of TOEFL and IELTS testing dates have been canceled, so Duolingo is a great option for you to be able to do it from home at your own time. So we do have scholarships available for undergraduate students. We are going to be looking at your GPA. So this is kind of changing over the next couple of semesters. Right now for this fall, we were looking at GPA and SAT, ACT score, but starting in spring 2021, the SAT score will no longer be required for scholarship purposes. So if you're looking to apply for spring 2021, you'll need to submit a resume and statement of purpose instead of the SAT. Or if you've already taken the SAT, that's fine, we'll take that instead. But then starting for summer 2021 or fall 2021, we will just be looking at your GPA. And you'll receive this scholarship automatically when you apply, and it'll be between $5,000 and $20,000 a year. So this is what our website looks like. It's just uiw.edu/international admissions. So this is our main page. We also have the apply now button. Again, it's free, so it doesn't hurt to apply at any time. But if you'd like to just submit an inquiry, have us reach out to you to get more information, there's that as well as our social media. I'd like to go ahead and leave up my contact information. So please feel free to take a screenshot or a picture of this. We are very active on WhatsApp, so if you'd like to send us some questions, about UIW or the application process, we'll get back to you very quickly. So feel free to send us a message or give us a call. This is like our general email address, as well as our social media. And we are very active on social media, whatever you prefer, Instagram, Facebook. We also have a YouTube account. And on our social media, we do like to showcase what our students are doing. Also, we have student testimonials, so you can hear firsthand from other students about their experience at UIW. We also like to post about our wonderful city and different events we're having as well. So I'll go ahead and leave this contact info up, and then we'll move on to the Q&A session. Is that okay with you, Kunal?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much, Michaeli. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and look through our questions. Our first question is, how would a professor experience compare at private versus public institutions? So typically public universities are going to have much larger class sizes. So it'll be a little more impersonal, meaning your professors might not know your name. They might not know exactly who you are. You might not be able to develop that one-on-one relationship. So a good thing to look at with the prospective university is the class size. If your class sizes are typically small, you're going to have better access to the faculty. Typically, private universities have smaller class sizes, so you will be able to get closer access to the faculty. So if that's something important to you, then maybe look for class size or student to teacher ratio and see what those are. At public universities, it is also very common to have a teaching assistant or a graduate assistant lead your classes versus the actual professor. So that's something to kind of note as well. That's more common in your first couple of years when you have the larger class sizes that, or classes that everybody needs to take. What would be the average scholarship at UIW? So our tuition is about $31,000 for the academic year, and our scholarships go up to $20,000. So potentially that would lower your tuition to $11,000 with the maximum scholarship. So our scholarships do range from $5,000 to $20,000. And it is very, possible to receive that $20,000. So we'll look at your GPA. Typically, students that get the maximum scholarship of about $20,000 will have a 3.5 GPA, but you don't need the 3.5 to get a scholarship. Can international students join these clubs in the first year? Yes, definitely. You can join them as soon as you get to campus. And can we start our own clubs? Yeah, definitely. If there is a student organization that does not exist on your campus that you're interested in getting started, all you need is a few people who are interested in joining the club, as well as the support of a faculty or staff member, and you can get that started fairly easy with campus life. And that's pretty typical of all universities. Okay, next question. How would Honor Society programs differ to regular programs? And what are the learning and career advantages of Honor Society? So an Honor Society is typically not available to students until their third or their fourth year. And that's because typically the entry requirements for these honor societies is GPA. So they're going to look at your overall academic achievement while you've been at the university, and that overall GPA is what they're going to look at. So it varies by honors program. Typically you need at least a 3.0, 3.2 on a 4.0 scale. And they do have different ones as well. So they have one for just general academic achievement, such as National Society of Collegiate Scholars. They also have one specifically related to your field. So for example, they have Delta Mu Delta, which is a business honor society. They also have Psychological Honor Society. They have, I think they have a lot of different options as well. So that is really just a great resource for you to kind of expand your professional network. So really what the purpose of Honor Society is, to be completely honest, it just looks really good on your resume. It's something to include, especially if you don't have a whole lot of professional experience. But also they are going to be able to give you access to a wider network of professionals. So if you're a member of this organization, you're going to be able to have resources to the network at a national level, because honor societies are national. A couple of them are even international. So it just gives you a wider network of professionals within that particular field. Do universities give free housing and meal plans for resident assistant programs, and can new students apply during the application process? That is a great question. So typically resident assistants do get free housing and a subsidized meal plan, but it's not open to first year students. So the earliest you can apply would be for your second year, and that's typical across universities, just because they want to get students who already know the campus, already know how things work, already know where things are, and you do have to do a training process in order to become a resident assistant. So you can apply starting your second year. Next question, will career advising help us to meet with companies for helping us get placed for full-time career jobs? Yes, so that is going to be the main point of career services. So it varies by institution, which is one reason I kind of said maybe look at your prospective universities that you're thinking about and kind of see how strong their career services are. You know, some schools place more emphasis on it than others, but the main point of career services is to be able to connect you with employers in the area that are looking to hire students either for internships or after they graduate. Next question, how far is San Antonio from Austin or Dallas? Oh, great question. You know your Texas geography, that's awesome. So we are about an hour and a half from Austin, so very close. Dallas is a little further. Dallas will be about a 5-hour drive. And if you're familiar with Houston, Houston would be about 2.5 hours. So Texas is very big. It takes a while to get places, but in general, you know, we're all pretty close to each other, just connected by one big highway. Can students combine interdisciplinary majors, and how do students achieve this? Okay, so at pretty much all schools, you will be able to do what they call a double major, which is where you can pick 2 programs to major in, and then you just do classes for both of them. So that's fairly common. So for example, if you want to combine biology and chemistry, or, you know, if you'd like to do music and theater, or, you know, something like that. Typically, you know, you'll have to take a few more classes because you're taking classes for both programs. But it is, you know, feasible to do a double major. And the benefit of that is just that, you know, you could put on your resume that you know, studied both of these programs. Another really good option for you would be a major and a minor. So a minor is just a subfield that you're taking classes in. So you're not taking as many classes as your major, but you will, you know, get, you know, classes in that subfield that you can also list on your degree on your resume. So for example, when I went to college, I did international studies, and then my minor was, so I had that international studies background, but then I had a little bit in there of classes like that showed that I take classes in Japanese. If students would like to pursue a bachelor's and a master's degree, is this possible? Can you please describe the admission and scholarship process for such programs? I don't know if you want to clarify in the chat box which program you're interested in. For example, we do have some dual degree, or like, I can't think of the term, like a accelerated program. Like, so for example, our communications arts program, if you're doing the accelerated bachelor's to master's, you can get both degrees in 5 years as compared to 6. So we do have that option available for some students. Typically the admission process is pretty much the same, but there might be like 1 or 2 additional requirements that you need to complete in order to go ahead and get placed into the, you know, rapid progression program. Classes will be online or on campus due to COVID in 2021. 2021, we are not sure yet. That's still, you know, Still a lot happening. As of right now, for fall 2020, we are offering a hybrid option. So students can either choose to do online classes, like completely online, or do part online, part in person. And this is so that we can make sure students are maintaining their immigration status and still able to report to campus to do some of their courses, and then the rest of them are online. So if the coronavirus continues, you know, we might have to pursue this hybrid option again. Of course, we're hoping that everything will, you know, clear up soon and we can be back on campus completely. SAT, ACT is not required for scholarships. When will you begin accepting applications for next year? We are already accepting applications, so you can go ahead and apply. We'd be more than happy to receive your application. There's no specific deadline for the scholarship. Just whenever you apply, we'll automatically consider you for that scholarship. And then once you get your acceptance letter, we'll indicate in the acceptance letter how much money you've earned in scholarships. What would be our campus size? So population-wise, we have about 8,600 students. So it's technically classified as a small to medium campus. We are about 150 acres. I don't know if that helps at all. So our campus, I'd say, is, you know, big enough that you won't always run into the same people, but, you know, small enough that you can still walk to all of your classes. Can you please share information regarding housing and meal plans and costs associated with housing and meal plans? Yes, definitely. So we do have really cool virtual tours of all of our housing plans available online. If you go to our YouTube channel, just UIW.international, we have a link there to all of our housing tutorials, and that'll be like a student walkthrough, like a student showing you the different options. And then the costs associated. Yeah, sure. Hold on one moment. Okay, hopefully you can see my screen now. Right here is an examples of cost of attendance for our undergraduate students. So our tuition is about $31,000 for the academic year, and this is what will be reduced with the scholarship. So for example, if you have the $20,000 maximum scholarship, that will lower your tuition to $11,000. So that's tuition. This is expected fees and books. Room and board for the year is about $13,000. That kind of depends on which residence hall you're staying in and whether or not you have roommates. So that cost can kind of fluctuate some. So this is, I think, kind of a high estimate, but you know, just to be safe, this is what we're expecting for tuition, fees, room and board, all of your personal expenses, as well as health insurance, costs for your flight. We expect everything to be about $51,000 for the academic year. This overall cost will fluctuate depending on, again, where you decide to live, you know, what kind of books you're gonna get and your personal expenses. But that includes the cost of health insurance and everything else as well. So that's what we expect everything to be. Okay, next question. How does university provide for campus safety for undergraduate students? Great question. So we do have on-campus police that are on campus 24/7. So you can always call campus police if you have any problems. We are also a gated university. So we do have gates surrounding the whole campus. And starting every day, I think at like 11 p.m., all of the gates will close except for the main gate that is always monitored by campus police. So you will need to provide ID to get on or off campus if you're coming after hours. If I apply as undeclared, do I qualify for scholarship opportunities? Definitely. We do not require you to know what you want to study. If you are undeclared, that is totally fine. What are minimum requirements for gaining admission? So for gaining admission, you need at least a 2.5 GPA on a 4.0 scale. For scholarships, it'll vary. This coming up here, we're going to redo our scholarship matrix, but you need about a 3.0 to get a scholarship. What will be needed as part of the letter of recommendation? Oh, good question. So we typically do not require a letter of recommendation. The only difference in that is for spring 2021. If you're applying to start January 2021, you will need to submit a letter of recommendation instead of your SAT scores, or you could submit SAT scores instead. But with the letter of recommendation, we just ask that you have someone you've worked with at your school or in some sort of professional capacity to write the letter of recommendation, just talking a little bit about your experience and maybe why you'd be a good fit for the school. As the university is based in San Antonio, will it be a city campus or traditional U.S. university campus? I'm not exactly sure what you mean. If you can clarify in the chat box, hopefully I'll be able to answer your question a little better. Our campus is in the middle of like downtown, so it is in the heart of the city. So you're very close to all of the main attractions. You're very close to downtown. I don't know if that helps. If you want to type in the chat box, maybe I can answer your question a little better.
Yes, Michele, and there's also one more student who has kindly written about the interdisciplinary program that he wanted to pursue, and if you may in the chat box. Thank you.
I'm referring to computer science major and business minor. Okay, perfect. Yeah, you can definitely do that. So we do not have a graduate program in computer science, but we do have an MBA, which could be of interest to you. So you could do computer science major and a business minor and then go on to our MBA program if that's something of interest to you. Whether campus was suburban or located in the city. Okay, perfect. Yeah, so we are in the middle of downtown. We're in the Alamo Heights neighborhood, so it is a very nice neighborhood. So, you're not right in the middle of downtown, but you're very close, 5 to 10 minutes.
Great. Thank you so much, Michele. I'm just going to wait another minute or so before I begin the conclusion for the presentation for the day. Thank you so much once again. Students, I'm going to wait for a quick minute. And if we don't have any questions, then of course, I'm going to begin the conclusions. It's about 8:53 p.m. India time. I'm just going to wait for one more minute till the clock hits 8:54 and then come back on. Thank you once again, and thank you, Michele.
Yeah, so if you do have any more questions, feel free to drop it in the Q&A box. If you think of something later that you forgot to ask, go ahead and message me on WhatsApp and I'll get back to you as soon as possible.
So we're just going to wait another 30 seconds, students, if there's anything further. And then I'm going to conclude. And I think it's 8:54, so it would be right to begin with the conclusions. Of course, if there are any questions that come through, then please, we'll be more than happy. So thank you so much, Michele. It is, of course, so nice to connect with you again after many months. And we really appreciate your kind time and support in joining us from the US for this presentation in the morning out there. And students, parents, counselors, really appreciate your kind time and support. It's close to 9 p.m. out here. So, counselors, thank you so much for making your students available. Parents and students, thank you so much for joining after a long week and, of course, a long day of school today. And counselors, have a quick message. Of course, all of Miss Michaeli's details are available, readily available with me. As you've seen, she has participated in the school fairs when we had visited your many schools. And also, I just wanted to say this session is recorded. So once the session is over, within the next 24 hours, we usually share the recordings with the school counselors so that other students who were not able to join in can of course hear the presentation along with their parents and note down the contact details of Miss Micheli, and of course be in future direct contact with you, and of course together with you be in direct contact with Miss Micheli and her team. Micheli, thank you so much once again. Really appreciate it. Cannot thank you enough for your time. Really, this was a wonderful session. A topic that was never covered in our admissions 101 workshop series: the public versus the private universities and the differences between the two. Of course, as you know, from India, many of these questions still remain about public and private institutions. Of course, admissions and scholarships. So, really appreciate you taking your time to answer many of these questions today and for your rich and amazing insights. And wish you a wonderful day. Please take care, stay safe. And to, of course, all the attendees, wish you a wonderful evening. Please take care, stay safe. And thank you once again. Goodbye for the day. Bye, Michaeli. Thank you,
Thank you
everyone.
so much for having us, and thank you to everybody who attended. I hope it was helpful for you, and thank you very much, Kunal.
Thank you so much, Michaeli. Goodbye. Take care. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye, students. Thank you once again.